All right, and we are rolling. What's up, everyone? My name is Josh, and in 2024, I took my physique from this to this in just under 12 months. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how I achieved that and 3 things I wish I would have done differently in my journey to getting quote unquote pretty lean. So first, just a quick intro about me, a little bit of my background, credentials. Like I said, my name is Josh. I'm a 23-year-old university student at UBC. I graduate in just 35 days. How exciting, but also frightening. I've always been super passionate about sports, lifting and soccer in high school. Soccer primarily was my favorite sport. And in university, that transitioned to running and lifting, where I am now. I'd say I've always been somewhat of a more motivated person. I completed 2 ultra marathons in the last 6 months, both of them at 2:30 a.m. just because I thought it would be more of a challenge. So that kind of shows you the type of person I am. And right now my big goal is to become a sponsored hybrid athlete, specifically for Minted New York, my favorite brand. And this is a series that I'm documenting, or this is a series that I'm using to document that process, you know, the highs and lows of trying to become essentially a sponsored athlete. I would love to make physical activity my, job and primarily focus. I've always loved the lifestyle of a professional athlete, and I want to achieve that as much as I can. And through making these videos is an option for me to pursue that. Now, the way I'm going to structure this video, I'm going to make it a little bit like a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to show you guys lots of images and the stuff that I've done to achieve my leanness. I should become nice and small in the bottom right hand corner now. So let's get right into the video. How I got lean. Well, before I got lean, I got fat. Not that fat, but in January of 2024, I looked like this, and I thought, you know what, let's go in a bulk. So I did a 4-month, very, very dirty bulk. I mean, the cinnamon buns, the ice cream, just no calorie counting as well. I was just eating whatever I wanted. And I gained, guess what, like 20 pounds, even though I was lifting extremely hard in the gym and running as much as I could with my shin splints. I still put on a lot of additional body fat, especially like in my jaw and my body, as you guys can tell. That is going to be the topic for another video, that bulk. So April 2024, I looked like this. And then May, June, July, August, I'm training. I'm also working at Arc'teryx during an internship. And during that time, I was trying to cut, and I had a very difficult time because I was running a lot and I just wasn't able to count calories, and I just was hungry a lot. Needless to say, I tried a few times and I was unsuccessful. Fast forward, here's how I looked in September of 2024, and this time I was like, you know what, let's give it a real shot. Let's count like all my calories, let's meal prep everything, and let's see how far we can get. Just making sure that I was in a caloric deficit. So here's me in September, here's me in October, here's me in November. As you can tell, I am slowly losing body weight. And then finally, here is me in December. At my lowest, I was 174 pounds. So I forgot to mention that on my bulk, I was 200 pounds, and I got down all the way to 174 pounds. That was my leanest. One thing I'll tell you is I do not look like that anymore. I do not look like how I was in December. This is how I look right now. As you can tell, I have put on a little bit of weight. I'm like 178 pounds-ish, I'd say, but I'm no longer cutting. I'm no longer restricting calories. I realized that it wasn't for me and I was doing it for too long and I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. But that'll be explained a little bit later in the video. First, we're gonna break down how I got lean. So the first thing I did was I counted all my calories using a calorie tracker app. I used the Lose It app. It's got like a premium subscription that costs like 20 bucks for a year. I was like, yeah, that's so worth it. It's not that much money, and it's a pretty straightforward app. I used to use the MyFitnessPal, but I like the Lose It. There's a bunch of different apps, but I recommend the Lose It app. So I was tracking all my calories. First thing, it gets a lot easier to do. I think I was spending like 5 minutes a day doing that, which is not much, especially because like once you get a feel for what you're eating and if you eat the same stuff every day, it becomes really, really easy to input the same stuff. That's not a huge time cost. You know, people feel like, oh my God, it takes so much time. No, you get much better at it. And the second thing was a scale. If you use the calorie tracking app, you need to find out a way to measure food, and a scale is a great way to do that. I absolutely adore my scale. It lives on my counter. I still use it today just to track certain stuff, but the calorie counting app and the scale, dynamic duo. You can do a lot with those two. Now you might be wondering, how did I know what calories to eat? And that was one of the biggest struggles I had. I have a Garmin watch and I would use that sometimes to just guesstimate where my calories burned for the day. But a really simple thing you can do is you can go to a TDEE calculator, total daily energy expenditure, and you can mess with certain variables and you can find out what your maintenance calorie is. And that's pretty much like how many calories you need in a day to maintain your weight. And then from there you can add or subtract a certain amount to gain or lose weight. For me, someone who was extremely active, I'm talking like gym sessions and running almost every single day, I was burning like 3,500 calories. So I was consuming between, let's say, 28 and 3,000 calories a day, depending on how much effort I did. I will say this, the cut was not easy. It was especially difficult at the beginning. Like my hunger was through the roof, but you just kind of get used to it over time for a little bit. And so by the end of December, I like wasn't that hungry. I mean, okay, let me say, I was very hungry, but I got better at managing the hunger symptoms. That's just one of the skills that you develop. But the beginning of the cut was very difficult. And the other big part of how I got lean was the training, obviously. So I was training very hard in the gym, I'd say at least 6 days a week. And then I was also doing running or using the spin bike. So I was pretty much training every single day. That is also the topic of another video. I overtrained. I now have a really bad knee injury. I just lack the ability to stop moving. But in order to lose weight, it essentially is just like a very simple formula. It is caloric deficit. That's it, actually. That's the formula. Caloric deficit is just eating less food than your body needs in a day. Because it's simple if you think about it. Say it takes me 3,200 calories a day to maintain my body weight. If I eat 3,000 calories, 3,000 calories in a day, that means that there is a deficit of 200 calories that my body needs the fuel somehow. So what's going to do? It's going to look to the sources that I have on my body, aka the fat, a little bit of muscle, but it's going to use that primarily fat to make up that difference. That's essentially how fat loss works. All right, to break it all down, to sum it all up, I increased my activity, so I was eating a lot. I tracked all my calories and I did a lot of meal prep and I weighed out all my food and I just tried to make sure that I was in a caloric deficit. That is how I managed to become my leanest. Now, I stopped the diet because it was not sustainable for me long term. After December, I tried to keep dieting in January and February while increasing my running mileage, and I just was not able to recover, which leads me into the 3 things I wish I had done differently on this cut, the lessons I learned through trial and error that I want to share with you guys. I'll preface this by saying I haven't really ever made a video like this before. I've made about 200 vlogs, so I apologize if I went off topic or like went off into different tangents for a second. But yeah, I'm gonna get better at this with time, just like I got better with the cut with time. It just takes practice. Okay, number 1. I wish I had defined my goals more clearly and set an end date. In September, I was just like, all right, the goal is we're gonna get lean and the end date is until I decide that I look the leanest. Not a very good idea, because if you don't really have an end goal, you'll never know when it's okay to stop and you'll never celebrate how you look. It's 2 sides to it. Without the end goal, I won't know when to stop and I won't know when to celebrate my accomplishments, which means I'll always be unsatisfied with where I was. When I got my leanest at 174 pounds, I was like, all right, get leaner. Like I didn't think I was very lean. It's very interesting. Like I was not happier when I was at that weight. In fact, I was more miserable because I was just extremely hungry. So yes, I want you to like take a piece of paper out and it's like really define your goals. One of the reasons why I went off the cut was because I'm training for a 10-kilometer race in April, and the increased demands that a high running volume has means that I need to eat more food. So when I define those goals of running progress being my priority and not losing weight, then I was like, well, there's no reason for me to stay in a caloric deficit. Like I should be in a surplus essentially to make sure that I'm fueling for my workout. So if your goal is to lose weight, you could also do like a number, like I want to lose like 20 pounds. But I think an even better one is like, I want to follow this meal plan for 12 weeks. And then after the 12 weeks, you can see what worked well, what didn't, you can celebrate, or you can take it as a time to reflection and see like, well, I didn't actually lose any weight. So it's a great check-in. So define your goals and set end times for them so that you don't inadvertently achieve them and not feel a thing. Number 2 is add more variety into my diet. I had the same meal prep every single weekday for the past 6 months now. And I always told myself that I would never get sick of it. I think that's a lie. I really think had I incorporated more variety into my diet, I wouldn't have had such severe binging outbursts. That's one other thing I forgot to mention. During the cut, because I just love to eat food, there were times during like weekends or when I didn't have any meal prep that I would just binge excessively, which would affect me mentally and physically. Definitely took some progress off the table. But I think that had I added more variety into my diet, just like switched up my meals that I was prepping, I probably would have been able to sustain it more long term. So if you are in the meal prepping stage, I highly suggest, every week switch it up. I haven't done that yet, but I'm looking to do that next week. To change up the meals, even just change the order of them, because 6-7 months of the same food every single day, every weekday at least, I don't have it on the weekends, it can add up, and we want to make it as easy as possible for ourselves to achieve our fitness goals. And then number 3 is understanding that cravings will come. It is just a matter of planning for them. Like I said before, I had bouts where I would binge excessively with McDonald's and fast food, and I would just, because I was working out so much, I could eat a ton of food, but I would not feel good at all after I consume these foods. What I learned is you're never gonna be able to, push your craving, just stomp your cravings out. But there are ways to satisfy them in healthier and more sustainable ways. For instance, I love burgers. So what I've been doing these past couple weeks is, instead of binging out on McDonald's on the weekends after a really big training day, I would just take a little bit more effort in planning and I would make burgers at home. 1, they taste so much better, I find. And 2, they are just better for you as well. So if there are certain things that you love to eat, see if you can make it yourself. That's a great way to boast your culinary skills while satisfying your cravings. It's not about shoving your cravings out the window. It is about finding ways that you can satisfy them in a sustainable manner. That, again, it comes down to what can you sustain for long term, because that will ensure that you make the most progress. Progress is made over long periods of time, and if you can sustain a meal plan longer by allowing you to make your cravings in a healthier manner, I can bet you can make a lot more progress that way. So to summarize, like I said, number 1, clearly define your goals and have an end date. 2, have a variety in your diet. Variety is the spice of life. And number 3, learn that you'll never be able to squish your cravings, but learn how to satisfy them in a healthy and sustainable manner. It was a new experience for me to film a video like this. I learned a lot. I learned that I especially need to script a lot more than I did. I just wrote an outline for this video. This is Josh from a couple days in the future. I am editing this video and I think I can do a better job with the conclusion. Now, I spoke about the 3 things I wish I would have done differently, but in an overarching sense, fitness, cutting, bulking, just trying to become and look better, those are very difficult and complicated issues, and it ultimately comes down to what you want to achieve. I believe everyone has it in them to become a better version of themselves, but it is a difficult process and it will take time, and it does take trial and error, but it is about finding balance in your life. I still go out and eat dinner or lunch with my friends and family because those are just such enjoyable experiences. I'll never cut that out completely from my diet, but it is finding things that you enjoy to do and making sure that you can do them as much as you can. I realize that as someone that is really focused, hyper focused on a lot of things in life, and I try to optimize every little area, there are times when stressing about your imperfections is actually worse than the imperfections itself. If you want to have a bag of chips or some ice cream because that makes you feel good and you've been working out a lot and you've seen some progress so far, it's okay to take that little bit of time off. When I would go on vacation, I like to eat food that I normally don't, and I try not to stress about it, because in all honesty, stressing that much is probably doing more harm than just eating the damn burger. So it's all about balance. There are times when I am very focused. I like to do during the week, the 5 working days, I like to have my meal prep. I'm totally fine with that. And then on the weekends, I go get lunch, I get dinner with my friends and family, and those are really enjoyable experiences. But it is all about balance, and it's about the balance that you want to achieve. So I hope this video gave a little bit of insight into my progress and journey with fat loss and where I stand right now. And I hope that everyone achieves their goals and has a great time doing it. And I'll see you guys in another video in the future. about a similar topic. Thank you for watching. Peace.